Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And there are two things I quickly want to mention before we get going. First, I sorted our inventory a little bit, like the ammunition on Imoen. Now we have all of these Kuaton bolts stashed in a separate container. Also sorted Jaheira scrolls a little bit, and as you can see we have some stuff prepared on her and on Anomen, but more on that later. And the second thing is that before we climb upstairs and talk to Demin, I just quickly wanted to showcase that Elhan has a different conversation for us in store, and also after we talk with Demin, he's going to have yet another different one.
This does not bode well for the survival of the city. If Irenicus is not stopped, it will be the end of a great history. Do not tarry in finding Elasim or High Priestess Demin.
And he's also going to mention some ancient protections that the city has, but we need to find Demin or Elasim to learn how to activate them. And now we can bring Senashira back and use our second limited wish to give ourselves those minor globes again, because we are going to have to confront some Rakshasa, and those globes are of course going to keep us protected from their low-level spells like skull traps, fireballs, webs, stinking clouds, all that stuff. Right, and now we can attempt to climb this staircase and see how the pathfinding treats us. It's actually pretty well. Come on, Anomen, don't be a rebel.
Strangers, if you are not servants of the exile, then aid me against these creatures, I beg of you.
Jaheira, are you a ventriloquist, trying to trick us that it's Priestess Demin talking to us and not you? Of course, you know, the same voice actress here is not really making an effort to sound differently. But yeah, here's Demin in peril. We are going to have 3 Rakshasa opponents here, 2 generic ones and 1 named, Atsan, who actually is going to have a nice item for us. And they are going to have slightly better pre-buffs, including stone skins, I think. So we are going to throw in 1 remove magic from Edwin. That should be pretty successful. At this point in the game, Rakshasas are way below our level, and they are usually of level 9 to 11. And so of course that means our remove magics are likely going to be very successful against them, and their remove magics aren't really going to do anything to us. Anyway, let's see what happens then. Alright, we were very successful. And they do throw a cloud kill. Actually didn't even make an attempt on... Actually, due to the teleporting field, Demin got transported here, and she's barely injured. She actually can die in this encounter, but she's not in much danger right now, because of how swiftly these Rakshasas died. And now we're just going to get Anomen out of this cloud kill and cast ourselves a Zone of Sweet Air to get rid of it. Alright, and I think before we talk to Demin, since this is going to be a rather lengthy conversation, I'm going to let this teleport field to run out its course, so that we don't have to hear the sounds associated with it all the time during that conversation. And yeah, here we have managed to acquire Absolute Immunity, which is a level 9 spell. It's the ultimate protection spell in the line of the mantles, like Mantle, Improved Mantle, and then Absolute Immunity. And its description here is, or was not entirely correct in the unmodded game, because of course this spell got buffed by SCS. In the unmodded game it wasn't true that it provided invulnerability to all weapons, no matter what their level of enchantment, because it only protected you until +5, and there are a couple of weapons in the game that are +6 enchantment, like the upgraded Ravager or the upgraded Karsamir or the Ixil Spike or Staff of the Ram, and also stuff like the Fire Seeds. When they directly hit, they strike as +6. So in the unmodded game, this spell could have been bypassed, and in the case of Karsamir, for example, would be able to deliver that powerful dispel. But in SCS it actually does provide us the protection, or us and the opponents, the protection from level 6 weapons as well. And now we can nicely stash all of these projectiles. And I think this teleport field is going to last for a couple of more rounds, so I think I'm going to just cut this out and be back once it's over. So be right back. Alright, there we go. It's gone. I also wanted to wait it out because we are going to make a quick save to showcase something with Demin. And also we might loot... Where did you die at, San? Over here. He has a nice belt for us. Can you identify that? Yeah, a girdle of stone giant strength, so one that grants us 20 strength. So even though we lost that 21 strength belt in the process of crafting Crumb Fair, now, not too long after that, we have access to a belt that is almost as good. And theoretically, we could equip Edwin with it, for example, to increase his damage, but he still only has 2 attacks per round at a pretty bad Thaco, and also he's often busy casting spells or keeping himself out of trouble. So I think the best benefit for us is going to be to give it to Kiranai to increase her damage by 2. And make her a little bit more effective. You can also drink this. You can also drink that. Alright, and now let's talk to Demin.
Thank you for your assistance, strangers.
Forgive me also if I reward your effort with questions. How do you come to be here? And we can, of course, inform her about Irenicus being our target. But also, one thing I wanted to say about Demin is that she is actually one of the very few elven exceptions when it comes to her attitude. I actually like her. She is not as insufferable as most of the other elves, and she is actually, you know, not going to be as arrogant. And she is going to be willing to acknowledge the error of the elven ways and claim some partial responsibility, at least, for his evil doings, and also try to make it up to us. It is our folly if we think his terror would be isolated. I apologize if he pained you, for we are partially to blame for each act of evil he survives to commit. We will seek to make reparations when this matter is done, but the exile is firmly in control at the moment. We are at his mercy. So yeah, she displays a much different attitude, and for that, although there are going to be some rude responses that we could use, I am going to be pretty friendly to her. And also these reparations she's going to mention, I think, once more, but nothing really comes out of it, but at least, you know, she is willing to, you know, make it up to us for all that we have suffered at the hands of Irenicus. I am not so concerned with the shame of our people over Irenicus and Bodhi. What good is our silence if the city is crushed because we would not seek help? You are not an elf. It must be difficult to fathom why we are so hesitant to speak of this. Hopefully you will come to understand. The exiles were not always as you know them now. They once had names that I would have been proud to speak, and were as worthy as any other of praise. And yeah, here we're going to get the definitive answer as to Irenicus's and Bodhi's past. Certainly you are entitled to your misgivings. You would not be here if you were not driven by powerful emotions, and the exile is good at provoking a reaction. And provoking some fireballs from Edwin as well. He has garnered the strongest of reactions from us, his own people, for he wronged us greater than any other. He is a criminal that knows no bounds. Yes, he was elven as we are, but no longer. Queen Elasim cast him out, for he had proven he was not elven at heart. And also Bodhi. She and he were well known in the elven court of Suldanessellar. He, at least, was a great asset to our kind and kin. He was the greatest of our mages, as skilled as any of elven blood could be without divine assistance. He even had the favor of the queen. It was not enough. And there's actually a pretty nice, insightful interjection by Anomen, saying that, of course, it's never enough with his kind. Would it be enough if he did get all he wanted? And probably not. Probably there would be some kind of a next step, you know, some next thing to achieve. Of the two, the sister was the insatiable one. She was not as regarded, but she held great influence over her brother and pulled him into her madness. Together they sought more than was possible. They wished the power of the gods, and they were not concerned about the consequences. He of the exiles performed a dark ritual and committed a grave offense against the greatest symbol of our longevity, the Tree of Life. He sought to merge his essence with the divine tree, draining it and stealing its energy. He failed, but there was a price to pay for the rest of us. So yeah, it seems Irenicus was pretty familiar with trying to, like, merge the essence of something or someone else before he tampered with our soul. He disrupted the elven connection to land and nature. There was a great shock that ran through Suldanessellar, and many of our weaker citizens lay near death. That he would endanger so many for he and his sister's selfish goals was one thing, but to threaten the very nature of what makes us who we are was unfathomable. And this is a good response. Yes, yes, I smell your outrage. It fell to Elasim to judge the crime, and she was harsh. Having forsaken everything elven, they would be outcast, so they might learn how precious our ways are. Of spiritually high regard, Elysim petitioned the gods, and a divine curse was placed upon the exiles. All their connection to the elven spirit was severed. Elysim thought it a punishment worse than death, a life no longer than a human's, and their elven spirits banished from the paradise all elvenkind are entitled to. So, you can see the arrogant attitude of the elves, like, they consider not being an elf a fate worse than death. So even Demin is not totally free of that kind of attitude, but anyway. Continuing on, the sister exposed herself to vampirism to try and counteract the divine curse, but gods are not routed so easily. The brother did not risk the same. A better man would have learned to appreciate what he had lost, perhaps learning humility and seek to make amends. He did not prove to be a better man. And what was your first clue there? We had hoped this would turn out better. The exile has found a way to restore himself, has made pacts with our most despised enemies, and has resumed his original plot. Of course, he's restored us. He restored himself at our cost here. I have no way to accurately measure the cost of our decisions on you. Reparations will be made, if there is anyone left here to make them. I am still in shock that this happened. So much of Suldanessellar's defenses were away, battling the drow and their incursion at the temple. We were left weak. One group of exiles helping another, both so full of their petty hatred and jealousy that they would stop at nothing to strike at our hearts. Yeah, totally because they are jealous, you know, that you are elves. Anyway, the exile brought to the city magical constructs and demons, and a black dragon which landed to the northwest. I have been trying to fight, but there are too many. The exile has seeded the streets with his minions and taken Elysim into the palace. I have made an attempt to enter, but it is sealed tight. So yeah, Elysim was kidnapped, and the palace is sealed, and we need to find a way to unlock it. And yeah, there is going to be a way, but this is one of the many reasons why you have Edwin in your party. Pretty good interjection once again. We have no time to run around your city concerning ourselves with your moronic people. Let them save themselves. We are here for the wizard. And also Imoen is going to share some of her concerns. And of course it falls upon us to do what needs to be done. The temple is dedicated to Rillifane. He can summon the spirit defenders of the forest to protect us, and has the power to break the seal on the palace. But the Leaf Lord must be awakened, his avatar summoned, in order for the spirits to come. The exile's creatures have desecrated the temple and stolen the artifacts I need. The artifacts are lost in the city, held by the exile's minions, perhaps even the black dragon in the northwest. There are 3, a talisman of Rillifane, that we already have, a golden cup, and a moonblade. Yeah, and we're going to have to place them upon the altar and summon the avatar of Rillifane that way. Alright, so here I'm going to make a little quick save and quickly kill Demin, actually, to showcase that even if she dies in the encounter with the Rakshasa, she leaves behind a note that explains what needs to be done. You can also pickpocket this note if you so choose. And yeah, basically saying the same thing we just heard about.
What is it?
And yeah. Now we're going to proceed with the rest of our business. And first we're going to check out that other conversation with Elhan now.
Speak, it will be done.
Are things going well? I have secured several of my people from immediate danger. But if Irenicus is not stopped, our efforts are meaningless.
Yeah, so that's it. And now we're actually going to go to the temple, because I had a kind of a last-minute change of plans, which is going to affect the order in which we are going to do our fights. And I am going to use the spell trigger that Senashira has before setting up the new one to fight the dragon. Of course, now we know about the dragon to the northwest. And I want to set up a new spell trigger for him, but I also want to have to use the old spell trigger of Senashira's, put it to good use, and so we are going to go into the temple and fight Irenicus's minions there, although we are, of course, not going to be able to summon Rillifane yet. But yeah, now we're going to be protected by Spell Shield, Globe of Invulnerability, and Immunity to Abjuration, and we are also going to enter the temple with some True Seeing going. Alright, and now let's go. So here we are greeted by Sunir, a pretty similar name to Sunin from Baldur's Gate 1. What audacity, Senashira, you continue to surprise me. But it ends here. Irenicus must not be disturbed during his ritual. You cannot stop me, slave. Your master does not realize what power I wield. His curse is lifted. You are nothing next to Irenicus. He need not even be bothered, for I shall kill you myself. And yeah, Sunir here is a level 20 mage, and he has access to some high-level abilities. And there's also a Rakshasa, an Iron Golem, and a Glabrezu. And basically, since this is going to be another mage fight, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. Since in the last episode, we have made use of both Karsamir and Staff of the Magi, displaying how good they are at dispelling mages, primarily. And basically, we have made our point. We have shown the power of the weapons if they are used in that way. But I think to make things more interesting again, we are going to go back to our normal, old-fashioned dispelling game and refrain from using Karsamir and Staff of the Magi in that way, at least until Throne of Ball. Perhaps in Throne of Ball, here and there, we are going to use Karsamir and Staff of the Magi for their dispelling powers. Here and there, depending on the situation, but for now I think it's best that we give them a little bit more of a chance, I guess, and not use such powerful equipment. Anyway, I think Jaheira is going to occupy the attention of this Rakshasa, and then we're going to have... Well, first we're going to wait for the pre-buffs of this mage and see what we're dealing with here. Yeah, the Glabrezu is capable of casting Remove Magic. We have entered the fight with True Seeing active, so that the mirror images of the Glabrezu can be dispelled, and I think he is not even going to use them as long as we have that True Seeing going. And also we're going to see what kind of stuff Sunir has at his disposal. He does have improved invisibility. And let's see what else. He is immune to Abjuration, he has Spell Shield, and he has Spell Turning. Alright, so once we dispel his illusions, we're going to be able to act. And I think for now we are going to direct most of our attention onto that Glabrezu then. Try to deal with it. Alright, cool. Now the illusions are dispelled. Ruby Ray was cast at Senashira, so that was consumed by her spell shield. But now we have to consume Sunir's spell shield by casting a nice secret word onto him. And this Iron Golem has, you know, because of how bulky and large it is, it has a little bit of a problem trying to engage us, so that's pretty cool for now. I think I'm going to leave Senashira near Sunir to kind of occupy his attention, and perhaps we might use Jaheira and Anomen to deal with that Iron Golem, and that's really nice that he elected to cast his gas cloud over there. We're not going to be bothered by it. And I think here I'm going to not cast a dispel from Imoen already, but rather wait until the secret word from Edwin succeeds, dispelling this guy's spell shield, and then we are going to use the spell sequencer with triple secret word that Imoen has, which should wipe out his protections, and he's going to be then ready to become breached. Anyway, let's see how this is going to go. Alright, Jaheira is getting kind of destroyed here. Let's retreat with her a little bit. Okay, now Sunir's secret... spell shield has been dispelled by our secret word, and now we can unleash our spell sequencer onto him. Alright, so that's a triple dispel onto him. We also had a remove magic cast on Kirinai, which might be pretty successful on us, considering that Sunir is level 20. Right, and now I think, since Senashira is ready to cast, we are going to give her a Scroll of Breach, because she doesn't have any breaches memorized, and she is going to be able to unleash that immediately upon Sunir, and then we're going to be able to deal with him. And Rakshasa actually damaged Sunir quite a bit with his Skull Trap that he unleashed upon Senashira, I think, was the target. Oh no, Kirinai as well. Right, anyway. We're not really bothered by that kind of thing. How are we doing here? Alright, Breach has hit Sunir, and now we can move in to engage him. Boom! There goes Sunir. And now we just have this Rakshasa and the Iron Golem to deal with. Okay, we are able to reach him from there on Senashira. And yeah, they don't really have anything of interest, but a nice fight. And here's that altar that we need more items to be able to summon that avatar of Rillifane. Alright, now that we have made some decent use of that spell trigger, we are going to be able to progress further, and I think we're going to go this way, doing another fight along, or on our way to that black dragon, who is supposed to be the main deal about this episode. And I think this episode might be a little longer, but of course, you know, in recent times we had that break, we can allow ourselves to have some longer episodes.
Speak your mind. Speak.
Anyway, let's move in then. Here's some Rakshasa and some elven warriors. Rakshasa are going to offer them some slavery, but the elves, of course, are going to want to fight them. And these Rakshasa actually have the best pre-buffs. Yeah, as you can see, they have some mislead going, they have protection from magical weapons, they're going to have stone skins and everything. And also this elven battle mage here is of course a Rakshasa shape-shifted into the form of an elven battle mage. This is not a rogue elf going hostile on us. So I think in this situation we are going to cast like 2 remove magics just to be sure and dispel all of their stuff. And then we're going to go in and try to deal with them. Alright, cool. So we're pretty successful with that, and let's just get to it. Put our weapons to good use. They did renew some stone skins on them. Also, I guess in the middle of all of these remove magics, we did lose our remove fear. And unfortunately, Sinashira is running to the pretty far away, but we might be able to reapply. Oh, actually we won't be able to because she is immune to abjuration, and remove fear is an abjuration spell. So we're going to have to wait it out.
I am ready.
Alright, so the elves died. I'm not really bothered by that. Even if they survive, they just kind of teleport out. Nothing special happens. Come on, guys. Alright, finally. And from these Rakshasa we are actually going to get a lot of mislead scrolls, also true sights, and some death spells. But we are going to loot all that once Sinashira is operational. Where are you? Alright, now she doesn't have a spell immunity to abjuration anymore, so we can just go and pick her up here and hopefully quickly cast a... Sinashira, don't be a problem here, man.
Pointed helm guides my path.
So it's probably going to run its course anyway, soon. But yeah, as you can see... Alright, this is going to be decent, I think. Finally. We have her under control. Alright, now we're going to be able to loot some stuff. And also visit this House of the Moon to retrieve the Moonblade that we need for the ritual. I'm going to take all this stuff after we sort some of our things. This is going to be sold. The misleads are going to go to Kirinai, but we're not really going to need that many of them. And the death spells I am going to sell because we already have some stashed. We have the Skull of Death. We are good on that front. There's going to be another cutscene here, showing how valiant the elves are, of course. So here we're going to have a Baldur and an elven warrior who is going to unleash the power of the Moonblade to kill both the Baldur and himself. So a noble sacrifice here is going to take place. Alright, there we go. Grant me death and victory!
Yes, certainly.
Alrighty. Now we have looted that Moonblade from the guy. There's also a pretty unique pair of boots. And a Scroll of Gate. Like, what kind of spells here are you engaging in, elves? Are you summoning evil demons? Anyway, here we have boots of Elvenkind that are actually worse than the boots of stealth that we have had even in Baldur's Gate 1 and of course for a long time in Baldur's Gate 2, because these ones in total give us 35% boost to stealth, and these ones only a 30% one. And here's that Moonblade that we need for later.
What is it?
Anyway, now we can proceed
Without doubt.
further to that clearing with the Black Dragon, but there's going to be one more fight, and here I could haste for it, but I think we're going to be fine. I want to save these elves because they do have a unique conversation. There are some stone and sand golems that Seneshira is going to instantly kill with Crom, and then we're going to focus everyone else on trying to kill the iron golems. Alright, there we go. The sand golem should die in one hit from Crom. There we go, and alright.
The righteousness shall prevail.
No worries.
Monsters! There are monsters everywhere in Suldanessellar!
Yeah, that's a unique voice line about monsters in Suldanessellar. Yeah, we can inform them, of course, about Elhan at the gates, so that they can go and save themselves. And yeah, that's it. So one of them died, I guess. Again, not really concerned with that. And here we're going to get ourselves the harp from this building that we're going to need once we're inside the palace. And now the pathfinding is giving us a little bit of trouble, but we are going to make it. We're going to be we're going to persevere until we are successful. Here's that stone harp, and there's basically going to be nothing or like very minor treasures in these containers. Alright, so here's that stone harp. Anyway, finally, we're going to be able to proceed and have that Black Dragon fight. And now, at this point, if we wanted to really unleash our full powers on it, it wouldn't really be a big deal. And I initially planned to basically solo the fight with Seneshira, because of course she is our lioness. She is fierce and she wanted to kill that dragon, but I actually reconsidered and decided to do something different. And Seneshira is actually going to sit out this fight. Actually, in fact, both of our Kansai ladies are not going to really participate. The only thing we're going to do is unleash that spell trigger from Seneshira, and that's going to be everything. You actually have to set up that spell trigger on Seneshira and also a spell sequencer on Edwin. And here we're going to put this secret word in case the dragon has some kind of a spell protection. And also we're going to put 2 lower resistance spells into it. I'm going to explain that later. And Edwin is going to prepare a spell sequencer with a triple flame arrow. Of course, flame arrows coming from Edwin are going to carry that specialist saving throw debuff, and they're going to have a chance to be more effective. And also now that it's a little bit of a shame that he is not level 20, which would make flame arrows even more powerful, because of course the spell gets more powerful every 5 levels, where another flame arrow is added then. But even now he is going to be able to be pretty effective with it. And what we're going to do in this fight is actually make Anomen our main hero for it.
At your order.
And unfortunately, since I initially planned to do something else here in this fight, we don't have the absolute perfect set of spells for Anomen, but basically we are only missing regeneration that I would want to have on him. And this would be the perfect spell to have running on him during that encounter, which would be able to out-heal during or over the course of the fight. It would be able to out-heal a lot of the damage that he's going to sustain, especially being very nicely complemented by some of his other spells, because he is going to have a really good mitigation and also a big health pool, and together with that regeneration would be very effective. We are going to give him a potion of regeneration, which is of course a much weaker effect, and we are only going to be able to use it after the remove magic of the dragon has been already used, and actually Anomen is not going to be using his Boots of Speed in that encounter. We're going to have Boots of Speed on Jaheira, on Imoen, and on Edwin. And also I think what I wanted to prepare is this Shadow Dragon armor, which is going to give us acid resistance. And we're going to use that on Jahiera, believe it or not. And I think we might as well give an Oil of Speed to Anomen, and he is also going to get 2 of these scrolls. Anyway, now let's talk about a little bit about the encounter. I am going to do all of the pre-buffs here, outside of the actual map, because because of SCS awareness, when we cast spells there, sometimes it happens that the dragon just kind of wants to check out what's happening and interrupt our buffing up process. So we're just going to buff up here and talk about a little bit about this dragon. So it's going to be a black dragon, and if we wanted to unleash our full powers upon him, it wouldn't really be a big deal, even though he is pretty significantly buffed by SCS. But of course our power level now, we would be able to deal with him without too much problems. But the way we're going to do it, it's going to be a little bit more interesting. So SCS triples his health pool, actually. Goes up from 200 to 600 in our playthrough. And as every dragon in SCS, he's going to have 25% physical resistance. He also has 45 magic resistance only. And that means that we only need to use 2 lower resistance spells at our levels to completely wipe it out. So this is a nice opportunity for us that we're going to try to take advantage of. He also has 20 fire, cold, and electricity resistance, which is almost nothing. And this is not going to stop us from casting elemental spells. And basically, he is a black dragon, which means he's a very acid-based dragon. So he's immune to acid and poison, and he's going to have some acidic abilities. But anyway, he's also immune to different debuffs like blind or slow, all the instant death effects and all that stuff. SCS makes sure to make prominent enemies immune to that kind of stuff. And now when it comes to his dragon abilities, he is going to have an acid breath that just deals acid damage, but in an amount that it is basically going to one-shot anyone that's not protected against that. He also has the standard wing buffet. He has 25 strength, as all dragons have, but he actually has 6 attacks per round with his haste, due to how his like dual-wielding claws are set up. He actually has -17 armor class and -7 Thaco, so he is going to be very effective in melee. Also, he has some spells at his disposal. Like, he is going to have remove magic, he's going to be buffed up with stone skins, he has some dire charms, I think, and some druidic spells like plant growth, which is essentially entangle that we can basically ignore entirely. And also a special version of summon insects that is actually not stopped by Shield of the Archons that Anomen could protect himself with, or our spell turning coming from our Book of Infinite Spells. And the only way to really protect yourself against that summon insects is by having a spell immunity to conjuration, which of course Anomen cannot have. So we are going to have to take into account that this summon insects is going to deal some damage to him, and also bestow that spell failure debuff on Anomen. So he's not really going to be able to even throw in quick spells like Holy Smite and stuff like that once he has that effect on him. And the dragon deals piercing damage, so you could use some forms like the mustard jelly coming from Polymorph Self, or as always the rat coming from the Cloak of the Sewers to make yourself immune or very resistant to that. We are not going to do that. And yeah, now is the time to pre-buff, I guess. So we are going to give Anomen this protection from acid. And even though Anomen is going to be our main actor in this drama, we are going to have a backup plan in case Anomen gets dispelled. Although Anomen's spells should be pretty resilient against the dragon's remove magic, because the dragon is considered to be level 23 and Anomen is level 26, so he has a very nice chance of resisting the remove magic, or buffs cast by Anomen are very likely to stay, so it shouldn't be a problem. But just in case... just in case this all goes wrong, we are going to also use Imoen's protection from acid. I think on Edwin. Edwin is going to be a little bit more important, and he is going to have to actually sometimes be up close to the dragon. And Jaheira is going to, you know, have 50% acid resistance coming from the Shadow Dragon Scale, and also another 50 coming from the Green Scroll. Also, that's why we have provided Anomen with 2 scrolls of these, because he is going to be able to apply them even if he has spell failure, and if his protection from acid coming from Edwin is dispelled, then he can at least apply quickly at least a 50% protection from that scroll, and then in the subsequent round another 50%. Perhaps. And we also cast the protection from acid from Edwin, because Edwin is slightly higher level than Imoen. He is level 19 and Imoen is level 18, so his protection from acid is going to have a better chance at staying on Anomen. We're also going to give him protection from fire. We're also going to actually equip Anomen with this Helm of Baldur. He is going to don this helmet. And we are going to give him the Defender of East Haven. And through this weapon, we need to do some inventory management though. Through this weapon, he is going to get 20% resistance to physical damage, and that combined with his Armor of Faith is going to make him pretty tanky, pretty resilient. So anyway, let's just, actually, since we have used so many of Remove Fears, we did rebuff Remove Fear when we were encountering the Rakshasa, so I think this should be okay. It should stay on for a while longer. We are going to apply this Oil of Speed already, although the buffs coming from items like the Oil of Speed and the Fire Shield that Anomen is going to get are very likely going to be dispelled by Remove Magic, but still we might as well use them. The Potion of Regeneration we are only going to use after this Remove Magic has been used by the dragon, but anyway, now we're going to give him Armor of Faith. Then we're going to give him Holy Power, kind of the standard trio of his personal buffs: Holy Power, Righteous Magic, and then drop on Holy Might. Yeah, Righteous Magic, and actually before we do drop on Holy Might, we're going to use this Fire Shield on him, which stays slightly longer, yeah, for 13 rounds, slightly longer than drop on Holy Might will. Right, now he has a Fire Shield, and now he can get drop on Holy Might. And finally, he's going to get the Globe of Blades. And now we're going to be prepared. And actually, just so that Sinashira can maneuver a little bit better without her Boots of Speed, just to unleash that spell trigger and go away, we're going to also give the Oil of Speed onto her. Anyway, finally, we can go and confront the dragon. Let's just spread out a little bit.
Very well.
What do you want? Good to go?
Point us the best leaders also follow. Have you not yet? It shall be done. That's done.
Right, so here's Nizidramanii'yt, or Nizidramanii'yt, if you so choose to pronounce his name. Actually, here, what's interesting about this dragon is that you can bribe him if you appeal to his greed, not so much to his pride. That conversation path where you kind of try to convince him not to be a servant to Irenicus is not going to ultimately succeed, but if you appeal to his greed and offer him greater treasures than Irenicus offers to him, then he is going to be bribed, and he is going to give us the goblet of life that we need. However, you have to have at least 30,000 gold to have that option to bribe him. If you have less, then it's not going to give it to you. And then, once you do bribe him, the only thing you get is the goblet, not any of his other treasures that he has, and of course, you know, that deprives you of the fun fight with him. But also, what happens is that he actually takes all of your gold and all of your items, and this can be kind of worked around by dropping the items to the ground, I guess you could invest the gold in some items and then try to sell them later, but you know, this is like way more trouble than it's worth, and of course this is a worse option. Of course we want to fight this dragon. So Anomen, you know, as a knight of the Radiant Heart, we're going to give him this chance. Of course he wants to slay a dragon himself, And of course, there is no other way that he would respond here, other than, "Evil worm, you shall slay no more innocents in this city. Die!" Excellent. I do so enjoy it when they struggle. Anyway, so he has Stone Skins pre-buffed. And he didn't activate anything else yet. Alright, now he has, of course, the Dragon Fear effect that's going to keep going, and he is hasted now. So we are going to unleash that spell trigger upon him, which is going to wipe out his magic resistance, and then we're going to be basically able to support Anomen with some spells. And the cool thing is that we have some AoE spells that we can cast from quite a bit of range. We don't have to be quite in the vision of the dragon. So we can place an incendiary cloud, for example, that's going to deliver steady damage over the course of its existence to Nizidramanii'yt. And also, first on Edwin we are going to cast his last Horrid Wilting. There we go. His magic resistance is now dealt with. Oh, don't you go away. Alright, so as predicted, the remove magic was able to get rid of his fire shield. Let's check his resistances here. Alright, so he did get his protection from acid and protection from fire dispelled. So he's not going to be able to stand in that incendiary cloud for that much. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to also inspect his stats. Now he has 200 hit points, minus 11 armor class, and he is dealing maximum damage with Righteous Might. Pretty good damage with both of his flails. But yeah, also his Oil of Speed got, and his Fire Shield got dispelled. So here we are going to quickly apply some buffs. And the first order of business is to apply the protection from acid. He can take some hits from the Incendiary Cloud, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Yeah, so now we have 75% protection against acid, thanks to, of course, his Armor of Faith providing him with some protections. Right, I think we are going to hold off from casting some other stuff for now. Let's actually have Jaheira give Anomen a scroll of protection from fire, because I think we are not going to equip a different helmet or a ring of protection from fire, because we want to keep the Ring of Gax and his holy symbol on his fingers, and we're not going to change the shield. So he is going to gradually reapply some buffs on himself. And now on Jaheira we might as well like do a Cold Lightning. Give that chance, give that spell another chance.
No problem.
After such a long while. And I think now Edwin is going to unleash his spell sequencer with triple flame arrow. That should deal some damage. Anomen, you can keep attacking for now. Alright, Summon Insects was actually cast on Edwin, not on Anomen, which is kind of a good thing. The flame arrows were able to do some damage. We of course are dealing damage to Sir Anomen with our Incendiary Cloud, but it should also well, if we bring the dragon over there, should also deal some nice damage to the dragon as well. Alright, and now I think since we have 75% protection against acid, let's now get the protection from fire going, so that we can unleash the delayed blast fireball from Imoen. I'm kind of waiting on. Yeah, now we're going to be able to reach him with our Incendiary Cloud as well. Alright, now Anomen has the protection from fire that he needs. Yeah, 75 is going to be decent enough. I've also equipped him with some protection potions of fire breath that he is going to be able to add to his arsenal. But first we are going to make him immune to acid. And before this Summon Insects hits Edwin, I think we can reposition him. And it actually doesn't matter, because we are not going to use any more spells on him. We're going to actually go back to using a Wand of Lightning, for example. We're going to give that item another chance again. Yeah, so we were able to do a little bit of damage here in Jaheira. We can use our Wand of the Heavens there. And I think now we are going to be able to unleash that delayed blast fireball from Imoen. Alright, some lightning hit also Anomen, ricocheted from the dragon, but that's not a big deal. He has such a big health pool now that doesn't really matter. And I'm not really concerned about his depleting health points, because we are going to be able to use the Rod of Resurrection, for example, use that heal ability from someone else, like Jaheira. We're going to be able to cast it on him to restore all of his hit points again, so a very, very powerful heal we're going to be able to do on him. Right, now I think you can protect yourself against that acid, bro. Right, that hit, so now Anomen is now... Anomen is now immune to acid. He is going to be fully protected against that dragon breath, which is very nice. Summon Insects was also cast on Jaheira, but doesn't really matter. Oh, what a great time for it to go dark. Anyway, let's continue with our battle. Yeah, he also has a minor sequencer with acid arrows. Of course, that doesn't really matter on Anomen, who is now immune to it. Alright, Jaheira can use another... Yeah, we have time. You can use another charge of Wand of the Heavens. We're going to have a nice delayed blast fireball coming from Imoen. Yes, that reached Nizidramanii'yt. What's your health situation? You're only injured now. What we're going to do, I think, is now apply this potion of regeneration. Oh, actually, we're going to do that later to offset some of his damage, but since I think we are going to do that full heal, let's just add some more fire damage.
What do you want? This way then?
Onto the dragon, and I think now Imoen might use one charge of our Wand of Lightning to add some more damage. We can continue with our Wands of Fire from Jaheira. Alright, now I think it's going to be Edwin who is going to use that heal on Anomen, because he is dropping with some pretty low amounts of health, but there we go, he's back at 200 hit points, and now we are going to, in a second... Oh, would you look at that? Imoen ventured a little bit too close to the dragon, and of course was one-shotted by his breath. Anyway, that's not a big loss. We're going to be able to resurrect her after the fight. She did what she needed to do, which was unleash some damaging spells. And now we just need to keep going. Now Anomen, since his health is full, we are going to give him another Oil of Speed just to increase his physical prowess. Give him a little bit more, some more attacks. Alright, there we go. Actually, Jaheira, you might heal once. Edwin, you can keep healing, and Anomen after doing a couple of physical attacks. Yeah, Dire Charm, of course, is not going to affect Jaheira at this point with her saving throws, even though she was dispelled, I think, by that remove magic at some point, or perhaps not his remove magic, but maybe in some of her previous fights. Her chaotic commands were dispelled. Anyway, now we're going to drink that potion of regeneration to offset some of his the dragon's damage. Alright, there we go, we have that underway. And now Jaheira, you can add some more damage. And I think Edwin is going to be able to once again assist us with some lightning. And Anomen can keep fighting, and he's going to unleash another potion of fire breath after a couple of attacks. His health is dropping quite rapidly. We are going to have to use another heal on him, I think. And this time coming from Jaheira. Yeah, now we have that potion of fire breath going. Now we are dealing some damage, especially that incendiary cloud, still proving to be invaluable when it comes to our damage dealing efforts. The cloud stays as all cloud spells for 10 rounds, so over the course of a long fight like this can really deal some damage. And I think we're going to use another heal already on Anomen, not to make things dangerous for him. Alright, the dragon is near death. Let's allow Anomen to finish the deal. Some of his buffs are now expiring, so his health pool is diminishing a little bit. But he deals the finishing blow, and now the dragon has been defeated. So not without some losses, not without some mistakes. But anyway, we have gotten through it, and it was way more interesting than it would have been, I think, if we kind of unleashed our full powers upon him. And since the episode is already pretty long, we are going to resurrect Imoen and loot the dragon and proceed with our Suldanessellar adventure here in the next episode. So as always, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.